Hi everyone, this is Kyle, and we had this new interesting rumor coming out regarding Lucasfilm making a new Star Wars movie where Rey's going to be returning 15 years or so after the Disney sequel Star Wars trilogy. A sequel trilogy that was a complete mess. So I'm on thatparkplace.com. Article here is titled Rumor Kathleen Kennedy expediting Daisy Ridley's Rey movie, Disney executives terrified of another The Marvels failure. So the article starts off, a new rumor claims that Kathleen Kennedy is expediting the production of the previously announced Rey film featuring Daisy Ridley being directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. Not only is the film reportedly being rushed into production, but a number of Disney executives are terrified that the film will end up being another failure like The Marvels. And this latest rumor comes from Scooper WDW Pro. That guy's a real good person to go to if you want to get any inside information. WDW Pro's latest information from his insider details: Disney executives are very worried about this because of The Marvels. And here's where that worry comes from. The Marvels is unlikely to break $100 million at the domestic box office. It's an unbelievable flop. It's just unbelievable. Now, if you watch the video, he did say that this was a bit speculation territory. He did have one source saying this. But he continues, now what did the audience say about Captain Marvel for years? They said we didn't want to go see Captain Marvel. We went because you told us we had to see what was going to happen in our favorite movies. And then because it was not a good movie, now we dislike the character, he continued. And then the audience celebrated when Captain Marvel was not in other movies very much. And then when Disney said, no, she's popular, here's the movie, go see it, here's the sequel, fans reacted poorly. Yeah, so when the first Captain Marvel movie came out, I got its numbers here on boxofficemojo.com. This movie came out right at the height of Marvel's success. It was coming out right before Avengers Endgame. And you could argue that those were the reasons why it made $1.1 billion at the box office, because it came out during a period where Marvel was printing money. I mean, you could say that this movie was coattailing the success of previous Marvel movies. And we were told that it's going to be a bit of a tie-in to the Avengers with Thanos, and that we need to see the movie because of that. But at the time, if you remember, people who were watching the movie, they were saying this was not as good as the other Marvel movies, and this character, they didn't like her as much as Captain America or Thor or Iron Man. So, a few years pass, the story with Thanos is behind us. It's already been told. The main heroes of Marvel, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, they're basically out of the picture. Now Marvel's basically on her own. And then they make another movie with Captain Marvel in it, and how does it do? The movie's been out for nearly a month. It hasn't even made $200 million yet. And it's doing so bad in theaters that Disney's no longer going to be reporting its box office numbers anymore. And this movie's been breaking all kinds of records, but not in a good way. I mean, it's basically been the worst Marvel movie to ever come out. Alright, but WDW Pro continues. Rey is magnitudes higher than that, WDW Pro asserted. Because the way that Rey works is that when The Force Awakens came out, fans were told, you've got to see this to see all your original characters that you love. And that didn't happen. Yeah, The Force Awakens, Han Solo was killed off. Luke didn't appear till the very end. Leia was not really in it. And then they were told, you've got to go see The Last Jedi because you got to see actual Master Luke training Rey, and that didn't happen. Yep, Luke didn't train Rey at all. I mean, when I watched The Force Awakens and I saw Rey, she basically knew the Force on her own already. She beats Kylo Ren in their first fight when she hasn't been trained by anybody at all. And then I see that she's going to be going to Luke Skywalker to be trained by him. I'm thinking to myself, based on what I saw in the first movie, does she really need any training? And why exactly did Luke not train Rey at all? Well, in today's modern era of storytelling, you can't have a woman learning from a man. You can't have a woman need a man's help. You can't have a woman be rescued by a man. You can't have a woman lose a fight to a man. You can't have a woman be less smart or less talented as a man. But in this case here, you can't have a woman be mentored by a man because that is not politically correct. It would be, what's the term, mansplaining. And we can't have that in movies now. Even though it would make perfect sense to have Luke training Rey, because Luke is the Jedi Master, but instead he doesn't train her. We get to Episode 9, and just for the record, I did not see Episode 9. I was kind of done giving Disney my money at that point. But I've seen a couple scenes, and we had Leia training Rey in Episode 9. Makes no logical sense, but in today's era of modern writing, you can't show a man being smarter or more talented or wiser than a woman at all, because that would be misogynist. We can't do that now. And so Luke did not train Rey. Instead it was Leia in Episode 9. Made no sense. Alright, but WDW Pro continues. And then they were told, you've got to go see the Rise of Palpatine or Rise of Skywalker because you've got to see how this actually plays out. We've got a super secret plan to make this all be worthwhile, and we're going to redeem all those characters. And then that didn't happen. Again, I was kind of done with Star Wars at that point. I did not go see Episode 9. Episode 8, The Last Jedi, basically left me with no interest in Episode 9. I mean, the only interest I had was, what on earth did they have left to do in Episode 9? I mean, what on earth could they do from here? But when I say that, I mean that in a bad way, because, I mean, they had Luke die in Episode 8. They had this new villain, Snoke, this new mysterious villain who was pretty interesting, and they just killed him off in the middle of the episode because we gotta subvert your expectations. And the other comment I would make there is Snoke was gonna be just a villain who's evil because he is. Call him pure evil or whatever, but modern storytellers, they generally do not like villains that are just plain evil. They prefer villains that are complex. Villains that are a bit more in a gray area. You know, stuff like that. But yeah, Episode 8 basically killed any interest I had in Episode 9. And what did they end up doing in Episode 9? They brought the Emperor back and they said that Snoke was basically just a clone. I mean, that story writing was an absolute mess. They clearly did not have a plan ahead of time. You could say they were doing some patchwork for all the damage that Episode 8 did. And this is why you have to plan things out ahead of time. I mean, the prequels, say what you want about the prequels. Yes, there were some plot inconsistencies, things like that, but the Disney sequel trilogy, story-wise, it's worse than the Star Wars prequels. Because the Disney Star Wars movies, they didn't even have a basic structure to them. I mean, I guess visually speaking, you could say that the Disney Star Wars movies look better than the Star Wars prequels, but story-wise, they're worse. Alright, so WDW Pro continues. That's 3 big movies that people were forced to go see where their favorite heroes were desecrated and where Rey was elevated. And I think that Disney executives know this could actually be worse than the Marvels he headed. As for the budget of the film, WDW Pro detailed his source informed him that Lucasfilm wanted $225 million for the budget, while Disney wants $170 million. So yeah, it's going to be another big budget movie, which means they're going to have to make quite a bit of money to break even at the box office. I mean, this is smaller than a good number of Marvel movies out there, but it's still a pretty big production budget. Alright, and this area here just details what the film's going to be about and stuff like that, which I don't care. I'm not going to be seeing this movie. I don't really give Disney my money anymore. And more details about the movie, don't care. I'll just read this little part right here. A leaked synopsis for the film from issue 1335 of Production Weekly stated, set roughly 15 years after Rey's victory over Palpatine at the end of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. The sequel delves into Rey's courageous behavior to restore the Jedi Order, where she assumes a role of a mentor to 2 promising young students, a girl and a boy. As her training progresses, it becomes evident that the girl possesses extraordinary abilities destined to emerge as the future leader, the synopsis concluded. I wonder who would have predicted that. I wonder if the boy in this is going to end up being evil, because it doesn't say anything about the boy. It just says the girl is extraordinary. Just like how they made Rey extraordinary in the Disney sequel trilogy. I mean, she was a badly written character. I mean, serious question here. Did Rey ever lose a fight at any point in the sequel trilogy? Did she ever need anybody's help at any point? Because I'm going to tell you this, Luke Skywalker, he lost fights. He needed help more than once. I mean, in episodes 4 and 5, Luke, he went through his struggles, and by the time we got to Return of the Jedi, episode 6, he was much stronger. With Rey, I mean, you could say she was basically strong from the get-go, and she was strong at the end too. And did she ever actually get brought back down to Earth at any point? I mean, serious question. Because from what I saw, I don't remember her ever really losing a fight or ever really struggling that much. And why exactly is that? Well, I have no idea. If you guys have any suggestions, please share them with me. Yeah, I don't plan on seeing this movie. I stopped giving Star Wars and Disney my money a good handful of years ago. I think that Disney has no understanding of Star Wars. I think they have other priorities other than making fun space adventures. I don't think they like Star Wars fans. I mean, Taika Waititi, he's making the Star Wars movie. And what did he say about his movie? He said it's going to piss fans off. I mean, if that's your attitude, why would I give you my money? You know, Star Wars used to be a huge brand, and every time a movie came out, it was an enormous event. And I mean enormous event. And now people don't really care that much anymore. And Star Wars is basically just another property on a streaming service, Disney+. And frankly, there is no excuse for this at all. I mean, this is all because of Kathleen Kennedy and the people at Lucasfilm. I mean, because of her, Star Wars, it's dead now. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you consider hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Take care until then.